The alien fleet admiral, known simply as First Observer, stared at the holographic display with his 4 eyes widening in disbelief. The readings couldn't be right. The primitive species they had been monitoring for the past 100 cycles couldn't have advanced this quickly. It was impossible. "Show me the sensor data again," he commanded, his scaled fingers tapping nervously on the command chair's armrest. The massive screen before him lit up with streams of information collected from their deep space monitoring stations. Earth, that insignificant blue planet they had dismissed as barely worth watching, was now showing energy signatures that defied explanation. "High Commander," spoke his second-in-command, "the humans have somehow managed to harness the power equivalent to a small star. Our calculations suggest they've found a way to contain and control microfusion reactions on a scale we thought impossible for their technological level." The First Observer felt a chill run down his spine. Just 50 cycles ago, these humans were still burning fossil fuels and barely managing to reach their own moon. Their rapid advancement was unprecedented in the recorded history of all 17 spacefaring races in the known galaxy. Deep within the asteroid belt of humanity's solar system, the observation post sensors continued gathering data. The readings were clear: the humans weren't just building ships. They were creating weapons of mass destruction that could rival the power of a dying star. "Play the recorded footage," First Observer ordered, his voice trembling slightly. The holographic display shifted to show a massive shipyard hidden in Earth's orbit. The structure was cleverly concealed behind a sophisticated cloaking system that had taken their best analysts months to penetrate. What they saw there changed everything. The humans were building vessels unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Each ship was nearly 3 kilometers long, with a dark hull that seemed to absorb light itself. But it wasn't their size that caused the First Observer's blood to run cold, it was what powered them. At the heart of each vessel lay an artificial star, contained within fields of pure energy that the humans had somehow mastered. The power readings were off the charts, suggesting that each ship could potentially harness the energy of a Supernova-Class event. "They've built 12 of them already," his second-in-command reported, scrolling through the data. "And there are 20 more under construction. Our initial assessment of human technological capabilities was severely underestimated." The First Observer rose from his chair and walked to the viewing window, gazing out at the distant stars. Their own civilization had taken over 2,000 cycles to develop even basic fusion technology. The humans had done it in less than 100 years. "Have they detected our presence?" he asked, dreading the answer. "No, High Commander. Our stealth systems remain effective. However..." The second-in-command paused, clearly uncomfortable with what he had to say next. "Continue," First Observer commanded. "The humans appear to be preparing these ships for something. They're conducting military drills, running combat simulations. They're not just building these vessels for exploration or defense. They're preparing for war." The revelation hit First Observer like a physical blow. Their monitoring station had been watching Earth for generations, waiting for the right moment to make first contact. They had assumed they had plenty of time, decades, perhaps even centuries, before humanity reached a level of technology that would make them a significant player in galactic politics. They had been wrong. Catastrophically wrong. "Send word to the High Council immediately," First Observer ordered, his voice firm despite his growing fear. "Tell them we have grossly miscalculated. The humans aren't just advancing, they're evolving at a pace that defies all known patterns of technological development. And they're building weapons that could reshape the balance of power in the entire galaxy." As the message was prepared for transmission, First Observer couldn't shake the feeling that they had just witnessed the beginning of something that would change the galaxy forever. The humans, those supposedly primitive beings they had dismissed for so long, had managed to create something that even the oldest civilizations had only theorized about. They had created ships that could harness the power of dying stars. And nobody had seen it coming. "May the Ancient Ones help us all," first observer whispered to himself as he watched another massive vessel take shape in Earth's orbital shipyard. "We're not dealing with primitives anymore. We're dealing with a species that might just become the most powerful force the galaxy has ever seen." The warning lights on his console began to flash. Another ship was powering up its core, its energy signature blazing like a newborn star against the darkness of space. The age of human dominance was about to begin, and the galaxy wasn't ready for what was coming. Captain James stood on the bridge of the USS Nova Dawn, Earth's first Supernova-Class battleship. The massive vessel hummed with power beneath his feet, its artificial star core pulsing with barely contained energy. Through the reinforced viewport, he could see Earth slowly rotating below, beautiful and peaceful, the home they had sworn to protect. "Status report," he commanded, his voice steady despite the weight of responsibility pressing down on his shoulders. "All systems nominal, Captain," his operations officer reported from her station. "The containment field is stable at 99.8%, and the star core is operating within expected parameters." The Nova Dawn wasn't just a ship, it was humanity's answer to a universe that had proven far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. When they had first detected the alien observation posts hidden in the asteroid belt 3 years ago, Earth's governments had united with a single purpose: survival. "Message from Fleet Command, sir," the communications officer announced. "They're detecting movement from the observation post. The aliens are mobilizing." Captain James nodded grimly. They had known this day would come. The moment their cloaking technology had failed for just a brief second during the last test run, they knew the aliens would react. The only question was how. Multiple ships emerging from fold space, the sensor officer called out. "Reading 15, no, 20 vessels of unknown configuration. They're taking up defensive positions around their observation post." The alien ships were impressive, each one nearly as large as the Nova Dawn. Their hulls gleamed with an iridescent material that seemed to shift colors in the starlight. But impressive as they were about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humanity. "Open a channel to all ships," Captain James ordered. The Nova Dawn wasn't alone. 11 other Supernova-class ships moved into formation around it, their massive forms casting long shadows across the asteroid belt. "This is Captain James of the Earth Defense Fleet. To all ships, remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. Execute Battle Plan Omega." The response was immediate. The 12 human ships moved with perfect coordination, their formation splitting into 3 groups of 4. The alien fleet responded by spreading out, their ships moving to encircle the human forces. "They're charging weapons," the tactical officer reported. "Energy readings suggest plasma-based weaponry, similar to our early prototypes." Captain James allowed himself a small smile. The aliens were about to discover just how far behind they really were. "All ships, power up your star cores to combat levels. Show them what humanity is capable of." The effect was immediate and devastating. The artificial stars at the heart of each human vessel flared to life, their power output suddenly rivaling that of small suns. The alien sensors must have been going crazy, nothing in their database could have prepared them for this. "Sir, we're being hailed," the communications officer announced. "It's the alien flagship." "On screen," James ordered. The alien commander appeared on the main display, a tall, scaled being with 4 eyes and an expression that somehow managed to convey both fear and awe despite its alien features. "This is First Observer of the Galactic Monitoring Force," the alien spoke through the translation matrix. "Your technological advancement is unprecedented. We request immediate dialogue to prevent unnecessary conflict." Captain James straightened in his chair. "First Observer, we've known about your presence for 3 years. In that time, you've made no attempt at contact. Instead, you've watched us, studied us, and judged us from the shadows. That ends today. You don't understand, the first observer replied, its voice urgent. We were waiting until your species was ready. We have protocols. No, James interrupted. You don't understand. While you were watching us, measuring us against your standards, we were watching you. Learning from you. And surpassing you. As if to emphasize his point, the Nova Dawn star core pulsed, sending waves of energy cascading across its hull. The alien ships closest to them actually backed away, their sensors no doubt overwhelmed by the power readings. We're not here to start a war, James continued. But we will no longer accept being treated as primitives to be studied. Earth is claiming its place among the stars, not as subjects to be observed, but as equals to be respected. The first observer's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. The High Council will never accept The High Council will accept whatever terms we present, James stated firmly. Because today, you're going to witness just a fraction of what these ships can do. Lieutenant, target the abandoned mining station in Sector 7. Target locked, sir. Fire main cannon. The Nova Dawn star core flared brilliantly, channeling its power into the ship's main weapon. A beam of pure energy, as bright as a solar flare, erupted from the bow. When it struck the derelict station, the structure didn't just explode, it vanished, along with a significant portion of the asteroid it had been anchored to. Silence fell across all channels. The alien fleet remained motionless, their weapons powered down. That, Captain James said quietly, was at 10% power. Now, first observer, shall we discuss those terms? The galaxy was about to change forever. Humanity had kept its greatest advancement secret for 3 years, building and preparing. Now, as the alien fleet faced down 12 ships that could each rival a supernova, the balance of power shifted decisively. The age of humanity had begun, and it started not with a bang, but with the quiet hum of 12 artificial stars, ready to reshape the galaxy if necessary. The grand chamber of the Galactic High Council buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from all 17 spacefaring races had gathered for an emergency session, their usual protocols and ceremonies forgotten in the face of the crisis at hand. Elder One, the ancient leader of the council, sat at the center of the curved table, his crystalline form pulsing with dim colors that reflected his concern. Before him, a holographic display showed the footage from the first observer's encounter with the human fleet. This changes everything, he announced, his translated voice echoing through the chamber. In all our histories, no species has ever achieved such advancement in so short a time. The representative from the Warriors Collective, a massive being covered in metallic scales, slammed his fist on the table. We should strike now, while we still can. These humans have hidden their true capabilities from us. Who knows what other weapons they've developed? And risk facing those Supernova-Class ships, asked the scholar's voice, a being of pure energy contained within a technological shell. Did you not see what a single shot at minimal power did to that mining station? A full-scale attack would be suicide. The chamber erupted in arguments, each representative shouting their own solution to the human problem. Elder One raised his crystalline arms, calling for silence. We have received a transmission from the human leadership, he announced. They request a formal meeting, here, in this chamber. The silence that followed was deafening. They dare, the warrior representative growled. They think they can demand . They are not demanding, Elder One interrupted. They are asking. And they have offered something in return, the complete technical specifications of their star core technology. That announcement sent waves of shocked whispers through the chamber. Such technology freely shared was unprecedented. It must be a trap, the warrior insisted. No, the scholar countered, their energy form brightening with excitement. It's a demonstration of power. They're showing us they're so far ahead that they're not afraid to share their advances. They know we couldn't replicate their achievement quickly enough to threaten them. At that moment, the chamber's sensors detected a massive energy surge in nearby space. The main display switched to show a Supernova-Class ship emerging from what appeared to be a new form of fold space travel, one that left no radiation signature. "They're here," Elder One announced. The human diplomatic vessel, Thunder's Edge, requests permission to dock. The Council watched as the massive ship approached the station. Its size dwarfed the Council's defensive fleet, and the power readings from its core were off the scale of their most advanced sensors. "Permission granted," Elder One declared, ignoring the protests from several members. "Let us see what humanity has to say." The human delegation arrived 20 minutes later. 3 figures entered the chamber, 2 in elaborate military uniforms and 1 in what appeared to be civilian diplomatic attire. The civilian stepped forward, her posture confident but not aggressive. "I am Ambassador Wells of Earth," she announced, her words automatically translated for all present. "We come with an offer of peace and cooperation, but also with a warning. You dare threaten this council," the warrior representative bellowed. Ambassador Wells smiled calmly. "Not a threat, a reality check. For too long, the species of this galaxy have been bound by arbitrary rules about technological advancement and cultural development. Rules that have stifled innovation and trapped younger races in artificial periods of isolation." She gestured, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed the technical specifications of the star core technology, rotating slowly for all to see. "This is just the beginning," she continued. "Humanity has learned to think differently, to see possibilities where others saw limitations. We achieved in decades what took others millennia, not because we're special, but because we refuse to accept artificial constraints." Elder One leaned forward, his crystalline form shimmering with interest. "And what exactly are you proposing, Ambassador?" "A new way forward. Earth joins the Council not as just another member, but as a catalyst for change. We share our technology freely, but in return, we demand the end of the observation protocol for developing worlds. No more watching from the shadows. No more artificial isolation." The scholar's energy form pulsed rapidly. "The protocols have maintained peace for millennia. Without them Without them," Ambassador Wells interrupted, "species will be free to develop at their natural pace. Some will advance quickly, others slowly, but all will have the chance to reach their full potential." She turned to address the entire chamber. "The galaxy is entering a new age. Humanity's emergence isn't just about our achievements, it's about breaking free from outdated thinking. We can help you achieve things you never thought possible, or we can let you continue watching from the shadows as we reshape the galaxy ourselves. The choice is yours." The chamber erupted in discussion again, but this time there was an undercurrent of excitement mixed with the fear. The humans had managed something unprecedented, they had made the Council question its most fundamental beliefs. Elder One raised his arms for silence once more. "You present us with an interesting proposition, Ambassador. But tell me, why should we trust that humanity won't use its advantage to dominate rather than cooperate?" Ambassador Wells smiled again, but this time there was steel in her expression. "Because if we wanted to dominate, we wouldn't be here talking. We would have simply demonstrated the full power of our fleet and made demands. Instead, we're offering partnership. The question isn't whether you should trust us, it's whether you can afford not to." As if to emphasize her point, the Thunder's Edge's star core pulsed once, its energy signature momentarily overwhelming every sensor in the chamber. The message was clear: humanity had the power to enforce its will, but was choosing diplomacy instead. The galaxy stood at a crossroads, and humanity held the key to its future path. While humanity's delegation negotiated with the High Council, Captain James and the Nova Dawn patrolled the outer edges of Council space. Something had been bothering him since their first encounter with the alien observation post. Their sensors had detected unusual energy signatures that didn't match any known species in the Council records. "Captain," his sensor officer called out, breaking the bridge's silence. "We're picking up some strange readings from the dark space beyond the Sentinel Nebula." James leaned forward in his command chair. "Define strange." "Sir, it's similar to the energy signature we detected 3 months ago, but stronger. Much stronger." The captain's expression hardened. During their years of secret observation, Earth's intelligence had discovered something the Council either didn't know about or had chosen to ignore. There was another power moving in the shadows of the galaxy. "Send word to Thunder's Edge," he ordered. "Tell them we may have confirmation of Project Oracle's predictions." Project Oracle had been Earth's most classified initiative, even more secret than the Supernova-Class ships. Using advanced quantum computers and predictive algorithms, it had suggested that the Council's strict technological development protocols weren't just stifling progress, they were weakening the galaxy against an unknown threat. "Multiple contacts emerging from dark space," the sensor officer announced, his voice tense. "Sir, these ships are massive. Energy readings suggest they're running on artificial black holes." James stood up, staring at the tactical display. The unknown ships were unlike anything they'd seen before, twisted masses of dark metal that seemed to bend light around them. Their power signatures made even the Supernova-Class ships look primitive in comparison. "Sound General Quarters. Get me a direct line to Ambassador Wells. The Council needs to know, their greatest fear just came true." Within minutes, the Nova Dawn Star Corps hummed to full power as the rest of the human fleet moved to join them. The Council's defensive fleet, despite their earlier mistrust, fell into formation alongside the human ships. First Observer's ship pulled alongside the Nova Dawn. "Captain James, our long-range sensors confirm your readings. These vessels, they match ancient warnings passed down through our histories. The Devourers have returned." "The what?" James asked, but before he could get an answer, the massive alien ships launched their first attack. Beams of absolute darkness, weaponized gravitational forces, lashed out across space. 2 Council ships simply ceased to exist, crushed into infinitesimal points by the overwhelming gravitational force. "All ships, evasive maneuvers," James commanded. "Divert maximum power to the gravitational shielding." The Nova Dawn shuddered as it barely avoided one of the deadly beams. The human ship star cores blazed like newborn suns as they powered up their main weapons. "Sir, incoming transmission," the communications officer reported. It's being broadcast on all frequencies, in all known languages." A voice that seemed to drag across their minds like cold steel filled the bridge. "Your isolation ends. Your resources will feed our expansion. Resistance is irrelevant." James watched as more ships emerged from dark space. The Council's defensive fleet, despite their advanced technology, was being systematically destroyed by the overwhelming gravitational weapons. "Get me Thunder's Edge," James demanded. "We need the ambassador to convince the Council. We need to activate the Omega Protocol." The ambassador's face appeared on his screen, her expression grim. "The Council has seen the threat, Captain. They've given emergency authorization. Omega Protocol is go." James took a deep breath. The Omega Protocol was humanity's ultimate contingency plan, a weapon so powerful they'd hoped they'd never have to use it. "All Supernova-Class ships, form up on the Nova Dawn," he commanded. "Prepare for synchronized star core overload." The 12 human ships moved into a precise formation, their cores pulsing in perfect harmony. What the Council didn't know, what even the Devourers couldn't have predicted, was that the ship star cores could be synchronized to create something far more powerful than their individual weapons. "Sir," his science officer reported, "the enemy ships are launching another attack wave. Their gravitational weapons are dash." "Let them come," James interrupted. "All ships, begin star core synchronization. On my mark, initiate controlled overload." The space around the human fleet began to warp as 12 artificial stars pushed their power output beyond designed limits. The Devourer ships, sensing the building energy, turned their full attention to the human fleet. "They're targeting us with everything they have," First Observer warned. "Good," James replied. "That's exactly what we wanted. All ships, mark." In that moment, 12 artificial stars went supernova simultaneously. But instead of exploding outward, their combined energy focused inward, creating something that should have been impossible, a controlled quantum singularity. The Devourer ships, for all their gravitational weapons, found themselves trapped by a force they couldn't resist. Their artificial black holes were nothing compared to the precisely engineered quantum singularity created by humanity's synchronized sacrifice. "All Council ships, fall back beyond the safety threshold," James ordered as he watched the Devourer fleet being inexorably drawn into the singularity. "The Nova Dawn and her sisters will handle this." The human ships, their cores now burning beyond any safe limit, held their position. They were the anchor points of the quantum singularity, and they would maintain it until every last Devourer ship was destroyed, even if it meant their own destruction. As James watched the enemies of all life in the galaxy being crushed by humanity's greatest weapon, he smiled grimly. They had built the Supernova-Class ships not just to defend Earth, but to protect the entire galaxy. Now, the Council would understand why humanity had pushed so hard, so fast, to advance their technology. They had seen this coming. And they had prepared. 3 months after the Battle of the Sentinel Nebula, the Grand Chamber of the Galactic High Council had changed dramatically. The curved table now included a permanent seat for humanity, and the walls displayed holographic images of the 12 Supernova-Class ships that had sacrificed themselves to save the galaxy. Elder One stood before the assembled representatives, his crystalline form glowing with solemn colors. "We gather today to commemorate the courage of humanity and to inaugurate a new era of galactic cooperation." Ambassador Wells, now serving as humanity's permanent representative, stood next to a hologram of the quantum singularity that still burned where the battle had taken place. Scientists estimated it would take centuries to fully collapse, serving as both a memorial and a warning. The crews of the 12 ships knew what the Omega Protocol would cost, she began, her voice carrying across the chamber. Captain James and his fellow commanders understood that synchronizing their star cores would create an irreversible reaction. They chose to sacrifice themselves to save not just Earth, but every species in the galaxy. The warrior's representative, who had once advocated for attacking Earth, bowed his head in respect. "They showed us the true meaning of strength. Not in dominance, but in sacrifice." The scholar's energy form pulsed gently. "The data we recovered from the quantum singularity confirms our worst fears. The Devourers had been watching our galaxy for millennia, waiting for the right moment to strike. Our protocols of isolation, meant to protect developing species, had actually made us vulnerable." Ambassador Wells nodded. "That's why Earth pushed so hard, so fast. Our predictive algorithms in Project Oracle showed us the pattern. While the Council focused on maintaining stability, the real threat gathered in the darkness between galaxies." The chamber's main display activated, showing the construction yards around Earth. New ships were taking shape, bigger than the Supernova-Class vessels, incorporating both human innovation and the combined technological knowledge of all Council races. "The Guardian-class ships," Ambassador Wells explained. "Built not by one species, but by all of us together. Each one carries a crew drawn from every Council race, powered by technology that combines our greatest achievements." The First Observer, now serving as the head of the new combined defense fleet, stepped forward. "The first ship will be named James Dawn, in honor of the Nova Dawn sacrifice. Its star core incorporates improvements suggested by the Scholars research team, and its hull uses materials developed by the Warrior Engineering Corps." Elder One raised his crystalline arms. "But beyond these physical monuments, we must remember the greater legacy of humanity's actions. They showed us that isolation breeds weakness, while cooperation breeds strength. They proved that advancement should not be feared, but embraced and guided. The chamber's atmosphere was solemn but hopeful. The galaxy had faced its greatest threat and survived, thanks to the sacrifice of 12 human ships and their crews. But more importantly, the experience had fundamentally changed how the Council and its member races viewed the universe and their place in it. "We have begun reaching out to developing worlds," the scholar announced. "Not to observe, but to guide. To offer knowledge while allowing them to grow at their own pace. Already, 3 young civilizations have accepted our offer of mentorship." Ambassador Wells smiled. "And Earth's universities have opened their doors to students from every Council race. The next generation will grow up understanding different perspectives, different ways of thinking. They'll solve problems we never even thought to address." The display shifted to show the quantum singularity again, its swirling darkness a reminder of both victory and sacrifice. But around it, ships of the combined defense fleet patrolled, vessels of all designs and origins, working together to protect the galaxy. "The Devourers taught us an important lesson," Elder One declared. "In the face of extinction, petty differences mean nothing. Captain James and his crews proved that the ultimate expression of advancement isn't in the weapons we build, but in our willingness to sacrifice for the greater good." Ambassador Wells stepped to the center of the chamber. "The human expression, necessity is the mother of invention," has proven true on a galactic scale. We built the Supernova-Class ships because we had to. We developed the Omega Protocol because we had to. Now, we build a new future together, because we want to. The chamber erupted in approval. The old protocols were officially dissolved, replaced by new guidelines that encouraged cooperation and mutual advancement. The galaxy would never again be caught unprepared by threats from the darkness. In Earth orbit, the first Guardian-class ship neared completion. Its hull gleamed with the combined artistic styles of a dozen species, its star core pulsed with power that dwarfed even the Supernova-class ships, and its crew quarters housed beings from every Council race. As Ambassador Wells looked at the ship's image, she remembered Captain James's last transmission before activating the Omega Protocol: "The stars don't belong to any one species. We're all children of the cosmos, and today we prove worthy of that heritage." The galaxy had entered a new age. The sacrifice of 12 ships and their crews had not just saved civilization, it had transformed it. Humanity had shown the way forward not through dominance, but through cooperation, innovation, and the willingness to sacrifice for the greater good. The legacy of the Supernova-class ships would live on, not in weapons of war, but in vessels of peace and exploration. And in the darkness between stars, their story would be told as a reminder that the greatest power comes not from technology, but from the heart to use it wisely. The future was bright, and this time, all species would face it together.